As of a few days ago, Donald Trump, who is finally our president, oh gosh, sorry, Trumpy Trump, signed an executive order banning men from women's sports. That's cool that it's yeah. That's cool that
but there's a big but.
Big but enormous.
Enormous but.
B-U-T, 1T. We wish it went through the legislative process. Hopefully it still does, because executive orders are fraught with lawsuits and
federal judges blocking it, and people just saying, "Oh, well,
the next
that doesn't
president
apply
overturning it
to me," and states
whatever,
doing
blah blah blah,
shady stuff, whatever.
Yeah, and yeah, it should. It's not. I'm not entirely convinced that it's totally constitutional, but you clicked onto this video because you're interested in Massachusetts, because that's what the title and thumbnail were alluding to. Basically, on February 5th, the same day that Donald Trump signed this executive order, Massachusetts Family Institute submitted a bill through a couple representatives and a state senator here in Massachusetts, submitted a bill basically giving coaches, not banning men from women's sports, because that would never pass in a state like Massachusetts. It basically, all it does, it's an opt-out bill. It's a equality bill. It's a pro-choice. It's a pro-choice feminist bill.
It is.
It really is. It gives women and coaches the ability to opt out of a game if they feel that someone on the opposite team, if a male on the opposite team of the girls' team, if they believe it poses a threat to their safety, or as a coach, his or her girl's safety on the sporting team. They can opt out with no disciplinary repercussions. So this was in response to a young woman in high school getting her teeth knocked out during a field hockey game in a Dighton Rehoboth, which is two towns, a regional school, which is governed by a regional school board. Dighton and Rehoboth, a field hockey player got her teeth knocked out by a man pretending to be a woman, but by a man. And after that, Mass Family Institute wrote this policy and submitted it through. Her name is Katie Aubin. I had the pleasure of meeting her at the press conference, and we're gonna hear from her in a moment. We'll play her speech at the press conference, and she submitted it to her school board. It passed unanimously, 10-0, unanimously. And now Mass Family Institute on February 5th just submitted the bill through these representatives, through State Representative John Gasky and State Senator Ryan Fatman, to the Massachusetts General Court, the Congress, Mass Congress, as being all official there. Hunter, you haven't talked at all in this intro. I've been hogging it. Anything you want to say?
Well, I think what people need to understand is that all the outrage, despite what you might see on the news, this is not an anti-trans. This says nothing, says absolutely jack diddly squat about transgenderism. And we need to get to the place, like, let's be unashamed of how common sense is. Like, let's act like anybody who is opposing this bill is completely, like, respectfully insane. Like, we shouldn't be apologizing for this bill, is my point.
Yes.
If you read the bill, which we're about to, you'd see you can disagree with certain, applications of it potentially. But this is not something that anybody who claims to be a common sense person can disagree with.
The name of it is An Act to Ensure Fairness and Safety in School Sports. And that is legitimately what it does. You know how a lot of Democrats will name a bill the exact opposite of what the bill actually enforces or institutes? This is not that bill. This is a bill that actually does what it's called, which I appreciate. A shout out to Sam Whiting, the attorney with MFI who wrote this. The brother did a good job.
Let's go through this. There's 20 lines of the bill. 20 lines. That's a very simple. Very simple. Let's do more bills like that.
No legalese.
Yeah, one issue, very small.
Yeah.
4 sections.
Let's watch that video with Katie Aubin.
Well, I appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. I'd also like to say thank you to State Rep John Gasky for sponsoring this bill at the House, and Senator Ryan Fatman, who is sick and couldn't make it today. So I'm here today just as a Dighton Rehoboth School Committee member, not speaking on behalf of the full board, just as a credential. That being said, the Dighton Rehoboth School Committee did pass this policy 10-0. It was unanimous across the board. There was never any pushback. Even the teachers union agreed to this bill. So that is a huge, huge win to get all that support. We made this bill last spring due to the field hockey player getting her teeth knocked out. We needed to do something. The girls, not only the player was traumatized, but the student athletes that witnessed this were traumatized. Some were in therapy, and it was very hard. But what I also want, to Sam's point, this is not an anti-trans bill. This is a choice. Giving female athletes the choice, and male athletes, to play against a co-ed team. And this can go, it's an ebb and flow type of thing. I was a student athlete. I was a collegiate athlete as well. And at 16, if I was playing a male player, I don't know what I would do, to be honest. I might want to play and really win. But after seeing what the field hockey athlete went through, I might change my mind. So that being said, Dayton Rehoboth did forfeit against Somerset Berkeley twice. And we took a loss at 3-0. Somerset Berkeley went on to win the South Coast Conference. And the male athlete of the team won the MVP for the South Coast Conference for field hockey. He won the MVP, okay? That is taking away from a female athlete. He went on to score numerous goals, most of the goals by Somerset Berkeley. So they came to win 9-0, 7-0, and we forfeited and lost 3-0. The other good thing about this bill is, say, Dayton Rehoboth, we forfeited 2 games, and we make it to the playoffs. And the girls are like, nope, we really want to play. They have that choice. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It doesn't have to be a team thing to just forfeit. If one person doesn't want to play, totally fine. If they can field the team, they go on to field the team. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It's a choice to put their safety first and safety over victory. This is how we get the trajectory going to get this bill passed. So please call your senators, call your state reps, call your school boards to get this policy. Just a choice policy. Thank you very much.
That was Katie Aubin's perspective. And now let's actually get into the specifics of the bill and what it actually says. Because this is like Hunter said, it never says transgender or trans in the bill. This is kind of like the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida that DeSantis passed, where the Democrats called it the Don't Say Gay bill, but it never said gay actually in the legislation.
It was all about age appropriate, but that's a side note. We're not in Florida. All right. So to start, Section A. No public school shall require any student athlete on a single-sex sports team to participate in a match or any part thereof against an opposing team that includes one or more athletes of the opposite sex. Fair. No penalty, including but not limited to loss of playing time or loss of starting status, shall be imposed by a public school on such a student athlete for refusing to play in such a match. So to translate, basically, no student, actually this could apply to a male who is playing a female as well.
Yeah.
They could opt out in the same exact situation. It's saying that they can choose to opt out, one, and if they choose to opt out, they're not going to face penalties from their coach or from their school. Because you would think, if you're forfeiting a game in general outside of this, your coach might want to say, hey, you're coming off the bench or you're not playing next game. So this means that you will face no penalties in the case of protecting yourself, which, duh.
Yeah.
Duh. So anybody who disagrees with that, please comment down below your reasoning for that. Sammy, Section B.
No coach of a single-sex public school sports team shall be penalized by that school for forfeiting a match against an opposing team because such opposing team includes one or more athletes of the opposite sex.
Very simple. The student shouldn't be punished, and the coach shouldn't be punished. You've seen instances in Massachusetts. Yeah. It was in Western Mass. I don't remember what town.
I thought it was in Worcester.
Worcester is Western Mass.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was Central Mass. Central Mass.
Central.
We call ourselves a New England-based podcast.
Fact check. Live fact check.
Western Mass is like Springfield. That's Western Mass.
Whatever. You're right.
I am right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sign autographs later.
Common sense, because there was a somewhere in this part of the state, somewhere east of where we are.
No, not east, west.
Screw off. Somewhere. Geography is hard. Public school education right here. All right. Lock back in. Okay. The reason why this one to me is so important, in Massachusetts, about west of Boston, somewhere central or western Massachusetts. We don't really know. There was a case of a coach who was playing against a biological male, and he decided to say, you know what, it's halftime. Our girls are getting hurt. Let's end the game. Let's forfeit. And he got fired.
Yeah.
From that school district.
He got fired. And what's crazy is that the dude who knocked the teeth out of that girl in the Dighton Rehoboth against the girl on the Dighton Rehoboth team, he went on to be named the MVP of that league. I heard that directly from Katie Aubin, person-to-person conversation.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy.
How can
That's crazy.
Where are the dads? Where are the dads?
That's what I'm saying. It's
where
like,
are the dads?
Where are the dads to go on the court, surround the field hockey field, to go up to the coach of the opposing team and say, if you do not forfeit this game, me and my daughter are leaving now. Like, where are the dads? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. The only argument that I can understand is that if this is being forced upon towns by the state to allow a male to play in a female sport, then there's a different argument to be had. And we should talk about changing that law as well.
What do you mean?
The way the law is now is if there is a female team and that sport is not offered for males because there's no team, then the male can play on that team.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We should probably change that law. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the Massachusetts MIAA, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the MIAA, which is the Massachusetts Athletic Association, or any equivalent school organization or an entity or board that provides athletic officials, including but not limited to refs and umps for school sports or athletic events, shall not penalize any public school, single-sex public sports team, coach of such team, or student athlete on such a team for forfeiting or refusing to play in a match against an opposing team because such opposing team includes one or more athletes of the opposite sex, except that such a forfeit may be recorded as a loss. The MIAA, Department of Secondary Education, they can't make this an issue if a student or a coach decides to do that. Common sense. And it'll even count as a loss for them still. That's almost not even fair, but it'll count as a loss.
Yeah.
Common sense. Don't know how you can argue with that. And then here's what really wraps the bill up into a nice bundly bow gift to the American people and citizens of Massachusetts. For the purposes of this section, a single-sex team is any team that is designated as either a girls' team or a boys' team, as opposed to a team that is designated as co-ed.
So it would basically make co-ed no longer a thing.
It would say co-ed can be co-ed. Co-ed is co-ed. This doesn't apply to co-ed.
Right. This only applies. Okay, I understand. So the bill only applies to boys' teams and girls' teams.
Right.
Because you could specifically. So if you chose to be on a co-ed team, you don't have the right to opt out of that game.
Right.
Interesting. That is even less. This is even more. That makes this even more of a softball.
Yeah.
bill.
Right. It's more pro-choice.
It's more pro-choice. Yeah.
Right. So in a state like Massachusetts, this is what we have to start with.
So you have the choice to opt into a league that you can't opt out of, basically.
Right. Which is fair.
Yeah. Sure.
Whatever. I wouldn't advocate that for my daughter, but that's fine. So how can Democrats in Massachusetts oppose this bill? How can they reason their little weaselly brains out of supporting this bill? Apart from Trump derangement syndrome or other kinds of
derangement syndrome,
cowardice, and other kinds of not willing to give the other side a win.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that I can think of, unless anybody else has any other ideas.
Yep.
And I would say every single person watching this video, whatever town you live in, go to your school committee and propose this bill to them. And if they go against it, run against them.
Yep.
Because this is common sense. And by the way, 90% of people across Democrat, Republican, and Independent agree that men should not be in women's sports. So slam dunk on them. Bring the facts, the logic, the bills, the numbers, the statistics, the common sense. They might not want to hear it, but bring it and let other people hear and test. Let this be a litmus test for whether your school committee is woke.
There we go. And also, let your pastors know about this if you're a believer. And yeah,
Call your state legislators as well.
Call your state legislators, call your state reps, call your ministers, whether they're ministers of justice and government or ministers of your soul in the church.
Amen.
Amen. All right, everybody.
And a woman.
No.
That's scary.
That was the Lord's retribution for what you just said. No. Shame on thee. Where's my garlic or whatever, holy water? Shame. I am Protestant, don't worry. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Sam Mealy.
My name is Hunter Young, candidate for Plymouth School Committee.
No. Hey, you're not allowed to advertise on here.
Yes, I am.
No, you have to pay me royalties now. We'll see you next time.